Hello everybody and welcome back again. After we've talked about moderation and scaling in the last previous videos, it's time now to talk about the ATAR. But first, let's start with a score called the University Aggregate. I'm a fan of keeping things simple. So the University Aggregate is calculated using the scaled scores achieved in your Stage 2 subjects. These scores are not the same as the ones your teachers gave you. These scores have been moderated and then scaled. And if you want to know more about moderation and scaling, make sure to watch my last two videos. In a nutshell, the University Aggregate is the sum of the top 4 scaled scores plus half of the lowest scaled score. For this student, for example, the lowest score was achieved in EAL and it's 16. So to calculate the University Aggregate for this student, we add 19.6 plus 19.4 plus 19 plus 17.6 plus 8, which gives us 83.6, and 83.6 is this student's University Aggregate. Now there are some adjustments, factors, and there are some little tiny details, but to know more about them, I recommend visiting the SATAC website. But for the vast majority of SACE students, this is how the University Aggregate is calculated. So, how do we go from the University Aggregate to the ATAR? Well, the ATAR is not a score. It is a rank, and it is between 0 and 99.95. A student who gets an ATAR of 99 means that this student is at the top 1% of all students who completed SACE in a given year. After calculating the University Aggregate for each student, SATAC compares them by ranking them from highest to lowest, and that rank is the ATAR. And each year, SATAC publishes the rankings. So in 2024, for example, students who got a University Aggregate of 85.5, their rank or ATAR was 98.25. Our previous student who had a University Aggregate of 83.6 achieved an ATAR of 97.05. But we must always keep in mind that this is only valid for 2024. Only in 2024, a University Aggregate of 83.6 gave an ATAR of 97.05. In other years, the same University Aggregate can have a higher or a lower ATAR. It all depends on how other students performed in that year. So, we can never use the rankings from previous years to accurately determine the ranking in the future. Each year is different. To sum up, your teachers give you a grade for your school assessments. School assessments grades are moderated. Moderated school assessments and external assessments are scaled. Scaled scores are used to calculate the University Aggregate, and the University Aggregate is ranked to determine the ATAR. So let's now see some of the myths and legends often talked about. The first one is ATAR prediction. There are a number of websites and individuals who attempt at predicting what an ATAR a student would get if they have a B, a B+, A, B-, and C+. And I'm often asked by students and colleagues on how they can calculate their own ATAR using their assessment grades. Obviously, this is impossible for the following reasons. First, ATAR is a rank, not a formula. Your ATAR does not depend on your performance in assessments. It depends on how does your performance compare to all other students who are taking the SACE at the same time as you. Second, you may know the grades your teachers have given you, but you do not know how these grades are going to be moderated, nor how they will be scaled. And on top of it all, you don't know what grade you will get on your external assessment. Therefore, anyone who claims that they can accurately calculate the ATAR is not being honest. some very rough predictions can be made, like saying, for example, oh, your ATAR might be between 65 and 80 or something like that, but no accurate predictions can ever be made. Only SATAC can calculate the ATAR, because only SATAC has access to all the data and all the numbers we need to rank the students and figure out what the ATAR for each student is. The second myth is similar to the first one, and it is regarding scaling. In the same way the ATAR cannot be predicted accurately, scaling also cannot be predicted at all sometimes. There is no set formula that is used to scale up or down subjects. And there is no predefined criteria that distinguishes between hard subjects that will be scaled up and easy subjects that will be scaled down. A lot of people make a lot of claims, but the truth of the matter is, scaling is done through comparing the averages achieved in each assessment type within a subject where a common candidature exists, and in every possible subject combination. This is the only way to know how scaling will go. So let me share with you some of the worst advice I heard when it comes to choosing SACE subjects, which is to choose subjects that are scaled up and avoid subjects that are scaled down. This is terrible advice, because scaling should never be a factor to determine which subject to choose. Historically, physics have been scaled up in comparison to creative arts. But this doesn't mean that all students should study physics and no one should study creative arts. And this also does not mean that if you study physics, your ATAR is going to be higher than if you study creative arts. As a matter of fact, it's likely to be lower. Choosing subject should only be made based on your personal preferences and your university ambition. If you love arts and you're planning on pursuing an art major and a career in arts, then you should choose arts in stage 2. Students who choose subjects they personally care about and have passion for tend to achieve very high grades in those subjects. But if you choose physics instead of simply because physics is scaled up, then you're likely to end up with a lower ATAR. It's not because physics is difficult. No, it's because you don't have the motivation and you don't have the passion to study physics. And always keep in mind that an A in creative arts will lead to a much higher ATAR than an A in physics. So that's it, dear friends and colleagues. For more information, please visit the SACE and SATAC websites. If you have any questions, leave me a comment down below. I don't work for SATAC or SACE. I'm making these videos simply to share what I know with the world. If you found any value in what I have said, please hit the like button, subscribe, and share my content with your friends and colleagues. It would mean a lot to me. I will be posting more videos about SACE program, EAL, and education in general, so consider hitting the notification bell. Thank you very much for watching all the way till the end, and I'm wishing you all a wonderful day.